Well, hello, hello, Mom Nation. We are here live again on this very, very happy Monday afternoon. I'm having a wonderful Monday. How about you, Meela?
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty fun.
Good, good,
Yeah,
good.
but
I
now, so it's loads of fun.
Nice. And I know you've had a very productive morning, so that's all good stuff.
Mhm.
Well, I am super excited to talk with you because, as you know, we get an opportunity to talk every once in a while, but it's usually me sitting on the other side of the table getting a reading or a tarot card reading or something like that, which you're awesome at. And
Oh, thank you.
you're welcome. I've got to come see you here pretty soon because it's been a while since we've done that. So you are the owner of My Darling Dragon.
One of them.
Tell us. Okay, cool. Tell us just a little bit about My Darling Dragon.
So we are a full-service metaphysical store, and we specialize in bespoke services, custom services. We make all of our candles and incense ourselves. We have a vast knowledge of occult, witchcraft, and all sorts of different spiritual paths. So if you're kind of a beginner looking for the place to go with questions and looking for answers, that's us. That's where you want to come.
Awesome. And you are in historic downtown Mesa, correct?
Yes, right on Main Street, right behind Dixon's Jewelers. And we are celebrating our 4th year this week.
Yay! Happy birthday. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I absolutely love your store and you, of course, but that is not what we're talking about today, is it?
No, we are talking about the rain dumps.
Yeah, because as a mama, because you're a mama and a business owner,
Yeah.
and so like there's a lot of stuff up in there.
Oh yeah, and being manufacturing the products as well, that adds an extra layer. So it's a lot of stuff.
So it must be, it's like a little party going on up there. So tell us, just give us a little background and tell us just a little bit about what Meela's life was like prior to what you're about to teach us.
Well, I'm ashamed to admit it, but I'm kind of falling into old habits lately with quarantine. I'm not really keeping up with it like I should, but it's a good thing because now I can actually show you. What happens is this happens. And so I have a desk full of papers right now, and it's a list of everything I'm trying to get done and all the ideas and projects and everything that needs to get, put away and finished and worked on. So as you can tell, that's a little bit of a, hassle, all these papers, right?
Yeah.
So I started trying to figure out, well, how can I get everything out of my head in a way where I can organize it a little bit better? And it came to me at 3:00 in the morning. I know we've all been there. We went to sleep a little late. We got a full plate tomorrow. We're not really sure, what to start with. And so we're up at 3 a.m. going, oh my gosh, I hope I don't forget this.
Mm-hmm.
So at 3:00 that morning, I sat down with my trusty pen and my pages, and I just started listing everything. Now this list became the brain dump, and it was significant because instead of listing to-dos, I just listed everything in my brain. So that became everything I was worried about, wanted to do, had to do, needed to do, goals I was trying to work on, projects, basically everything that was in my brain. And I had this huge list, and it ended up being like 4 pages long, front and back.
Oh my goodness. So that's overwhelming even of itself, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody else has been there too. When you try to do a to-do list, that's what happens. You get all of these, lists of things, oh my God, this is enormous, it's overwhelming. How am I supposed to tackle all of this? So the next step, I realized it came after, well, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But that some of the list had to be categorized in very specific ways. So I noticed that there can only be 4 things on this list. It could be a task, it could be a project, it could be an idea, or it could be a worry. Now that sounds kind of easy to deal with, right? So we look at it a little bit more. A task is one-off, one and done. Projects are multiple tasks to one goal, right? And an idea normally becomes a project. And a worry usually leads to you having to do something to check if everything's okay. So that to me sounded like a task, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I could categorize all of these things into 4 little categories. And now I separated my tasks and my projects. And now I could spend some time working on my project and each task according to the project. And so now, for the first time in my life, I was reaching goals. And this is like almost a year into business.
Well,
So
and how, not to interrupt you, but how did you feel once you sat down and you wrote out absolutely everything in your brain? And yeah, it was 4 pages, and that in and of itself is somewhat overwhelming, and you got to categorize that like you're talking about now. But how did you feel after that?
there was a profound sense of clarity that I have never known before. It's like the noise went away. Now, talking to a bunch of people, I found out people who have gone through chemo, they have foggy brain. And so they have this issue as well. And I have health issues make my brain a little bit foggy every so often. So it's hard for me to cut through the noise. Getting it out on paper was so much different than just sitting there typing it out. You have to write it down. But writing it out emptied out the noise, quieted everything down, and now suddenly everything became clear. I know what I need to do. I know what I'm working on. I don't feel so overwhelmed. And poof, it's like magic. You know, your day feels a little bit more in control.
You don't feel like you're forgetting something, because that's my problem.
No, because the way that the brain dump is set up, I only allow about 5 to 10 minutes for each brain dump. And it started out every day. And at first, you're going to want to do it every day. But if you can't think of this item within 5 to 10 minutes, it's either not important or it doesn't need to get done, period. So there's no reason for it to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And forget something, you really shouldn't at that point. I actually have stopped really forgetting things. As long as I wrote it down and then added it to the brain dump later, it was okay. But that means you actually have to keep a running list during your day of things that are going on to add to it later. But that solved the issue.
Awesome. So I interrupted you there, and you were talking about categorizing, and you had realized that absolutely all of the information that you had extracted really could be categorized in 4 different ways.
Yes. And then if you wanted to make it even better and make it schedule itself automatically, the magic came when I read an article from Adobe. It was called The 5 Types of Work. And it listed out these 5 new categories for me. You had reactionary, insecurity, planning, problem solving, and insecurity work. And these could be applied to literally everything on my list. And then to prioritize, I added money, management, and marketing. And so now money in a business should be number 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now it automatically floats to the top. There's no struggle. You just get it done.
That's awesome. So now that you've figured out, okay, I've got to relieve my brain at some point. So I'm going to write everything down. Okay, cool. That's a little overwhelming to read. Now I'm going to categorize it. So you're not using just pen and paper at this point, right? Pen and paper got the stuff there, but now we've got some tools that we're pulling into the game. Am I right?
I actually started out just doing it on pen and paper.
Oh dear.
And but it was okay because the projects became its own page. But then I realized this needs to be better. So Trello came into my life.
I love Trello. Trello has changed my everything.
So I created multiple boards for this. And I used Trello Power-Ups and Trello Butler to automate things. And so now I've taken the full algorithm and the full categories of everything. And now I'm to a point where I just list it in the brain dump and I drag and drop the cards into their proper categories, drag and drop in the task of projects, and then poof. It automatically updates into my weekly scheduler. Now here's the thing about those 5 types of work categories. Reactionary work can only be done when someone's given you something. So an email or a phone call, you have to reply, something like that. Insecurity work is stuff you do to make yourself feel better. So it's not really important, but it has to be done so you can slow down and settle and relax, right?
Mm-hmm.
Planning work is just that. You have to have time to sit down and plan. So you're going to have some of this every day. And then your procedural work is like paying bills, going grocery shopping, doing inventory. This is all scheduled. You can just schedule that. So now that takes the work out of a huge chunk of your list. The big part is the problem solving work. This is the creative stuff that you do. This is where I'm making candles, writing blog posts, working on a new marketing campaign, working on new inventory systems. This is all problem solving work. But as moms, we know that it's hard to get that small amount of time to ourselves to sit and think and work uninterrupted, right?
Right.
So you know when that time is going to be. So you can schedule your problem solving work for that time in order, right? The cool thing is, as soon as I started assigning time to this, I could look on a graph and see how much time I had available per day. So I didn't take too much work every day.
That is phenomenal.
Now I have more time with the family.
That is phenomenal. I love that. And I love how technology gives us those abilities so that we really have some insight on what's going on in our schedule and what we're really doing, spending our time. Now let's take you back to Trello real quick, because I'm not sure if the audience members really understands what we're talking about, if everybody is familiar with Trello. Now, Trello is a project management system. Right. And it's free. I mean, you can get the upgraded version, but you can work from the free version and it'll probably do you just fine. I think you're allowed up to 10 boards. And what a board is like, Meela, like one of your boards would be your task board. One of your boards would be your project board. One would be
have a brain dump board that is specifically for sorting everything. Mm-hmm. And I transfer it into a dailies board that has lists for each day of the week and a list for morning and noon. And then my brain dump tasks get dumped into there immediately. And then I have a project board. But because your projects require planning, you have to spend some time developing the project. Oh, but that requires a task for planning.
Right.
Now you have time to work on the actual goal.
Right. And it sounds to me like you're using the automated system to communicate with your calendar. And so when you're putting something on that main brain dump board, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you've got your automation set up so that when it's something that needs to be scheduled, it's just going to go straight into your calendar once you pop it in that board. If it belongs on another board, it's going to get sent there. Like, am I right?
Yes, I'm using Butler to step-by-step move the cards over. I mean, that's a little bit involved. You don't have to go that involved. For me, it was necessary because I wear so many different hats.
Right.
But the basic gist of it is breaking it down, doing it by hand, and then putting it into some kind of computer. I was doing it with Excel to start too. So it was just a matter of finding a program that worked for you. But
agree. And
the systems to break it apart is what makes it less overwhelming, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely the big part. And what I love about Trello is you can have it, it's web-based. You can get an app for your computer. You can get an app for your phone, your iPad, whatever it is, and they'll all communicate. So it all syncs and it updates with each other. And, honestly, I have a board in my Trello that's just for household management. Yeah. Like a lot of moms have been, it's been a big topic of conversation. Well, how do I get my spouse on board with knowing what the chores are, knowing what's coming up, knowing what the schedule is? That's how Matt and I do it. We do have a shared calendar. So, we know where the other one's going to be at any given time or what is available for, hey, you take the kid because I got to go work, or I'm going to work out, or I'm going to play golf, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So that way we can work with each other and schedule with each other a bit more effectively. But we also have a household board in our Trello. And that's got stuff like our passwords for things on it, throughout the house, like Netflix and crap like that, because I got sick of being asked what the Netflix password is. Like, just Put it there. That's got, when whose people's doctors are, because we each have different doctors, and when those appointments are. It's got, information for my son's school, like the stuff that my husband and I need to collaborate on, or at least need to know the other one is working on, or whatever it is. It's a quick and easy, I flip open the board. I'm like, he's doing this, this, this. You can set notifications on a card. So if you are collaborating with another person, such as your husband or spouse, wife, whatever, you can actually set it, okay, when they go in and they make changes to this card, notify me. So that way, I'm up to speed with what those changes are. We could probably sit here, Meela, wouldn't you agree, for the next 24 hours and go over all of the functionality in this program. But these are some things that I feel like would help our audience members quite a bit.
Oh, for sure. And the cool thing about the brain dump that allowed me to do it is once I started categorizing everything, I could allow the personal stuff. So I added personal, family, and home stuff there. And now I just do everything in one whack. And some of it goes to personal board and some of it goes to work board. And now work-life balance is getting a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah. 100%. All the way. So that was really thorough, and I appreciate you carrying us through that journey. Is there anything else about that journey, or continuing to maintain this process, or like what else would you like to share with us about that?
So a couple things is the brain dump I found is only effective if you did it with pen and paper. There's something about writing things down that cleared the mind versus typing it out. It also allows you to commit it a little bit more into memory so that you're actively thinking and working, moving forward, instead of just, oh, I wrote it down, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then aside from that is collect data. And I know that sounds daunting, but I run a business, I'm a mom, I was taking care of a kid, I manufacture my own products. If I can sit here and write a little bit of data points, you guys can do this, okay? The data points ensured where to put the categories, how to use them effectively. So I'm not sitting here ripping my hair out with so many emails, so many meetings, so many products to make, so much inventory to do. It made it easy to schedule it and not over schedule. Because I get burned out. Who doesn't get burned out?
You're right.
You have to take care of yourself. So the only way to do that is to collect some data. When do you have the most energy? When do you have time for problem solving? What time is best to do your planning? These are very important things. Mark these times and then start to develop your brain dump around those times, and now watch your goals start to become easier to handle.
That is huge right there. Like huge. And let me give you a little example. It's a bit different than your example, but this is just how enormous this strikes me. So I'm going to be 41, Meela, in a couple of weeks, and yay me. And for the last, 25 years out of those 41 years, I'm like, I'm going to work out. It's going to be X amount of days a week. It's going to be this. And I've been literally like I do okay, but I'm not at the point where it's X amount of days a week and I nail that like every single week, no problem, right? Something's always coming up and challenging me week after week after week after week. And I started to sit back and realize, okay, well, what times am I choosing to get this done? Okay. Like, when am I doing this? Well, oftentimes it was whenever I could slip it in the afternoon. Okay. If anybody knows my life, they know that. Why did I even pick that? That's ridiculous. And then it was after my son goes to bed and like before, I take my shower and start settling in, because everybody knows I work at night until about 1 a.m. So before that, so that was the second time that I chose. And I just wasn't nailing it. I wasn't nailing it. Well, I'm not perfect still, but I have realized that it's got to be done first thing in the morning, before the day gets started, before the phone calls start coming in, before the texts start. Do I always want to do it at that time? No. Am I often mind racing, thinking about all the stuff that I have to get done and the calls that I have to make? So I just want to dive into that most of the time. But I'm doing my best to stick to it. And I find that after collecting that data, like you're talking about, I have found that this is really the time when I'm going to do it, basically. If I don't do it then, I'm not going to do it.
That's right. And there's times like that throughout the day for every little action that you take. Always. And knowing when those times are makes it effective to plan. But also, if there's something I know, is that the only real thing that you can be sure of is that the unexpected is going to happen. The cool thing about my system is that it takes that into account. It's all good. You can roll with the flow. You still get it done. That's the best part.
Right. I love it. You're amazing. I so appreciate the share. I appreciate the time with you always. And today especially, there was a lot of value in this conversation. If any of our audience members want to follow you, get in touch with you, heck, chat about this system with you, how can they do that?
So I'm actually working on some blog posts right now to explain the system a little bit more in depth in a template Trello board that you could use to start using it as well. We're also working on an app that will do.
No way! That's amazing.
Yeah. Hubby's a programmer. He's got a little bit of interest in the idea, and so we started working on developing the app. And right now, it's just a matter of putting the algorithm together. And so that's where I've been working with Trello and getting the automations done, and it's working.
That's exciting.
It's been pretty wacky. But yeah, online, we're going to have a blog post up soon, and we have a chat feature directly on our website, mydarlingdragon.com. I'm also on Facebook at mydarlingdragon. So yeah, hit me up. Let's chat. Let's work on it.
Yeah, well, sweet. Well, I appreciate it. So I'm going to go back to being productive. I'm sure you're going to go back to being productive too. But it was really nice to chat with you today, Meela.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, guys. Bye, MOMnation. Thanks a bunch.
Bye. See ya.
See ya.